people, and welcome back to part 54 of Palaven, our vanilla Cities Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for supporting us on this live stream. We had a really nice time putting together a green cities waterfront over here in this really narrow strip of land between the highway and the river. Now we got about half of it done. Worked on some lovely little kind of across the road garden designs for some of the green cities assets, which I think as an initial concept works out quite nicely. Could possibly do with a little more refining. I think the idea is there, isn't it? Use some of the green cities commercial assets too to kind of generate a little farmer's market. With some dirt paths in between with the 1x4 zoned-ins. Really nice design, super big fan of this. Of course, lots of fencing and trees everywhere, all our usual kind of favourite palettes, and worked with some high density designs over here, using some of the 1x1 high density residential stuff, with a repeated pattern behind it, and kind of shows off the power of a repeated pattern, I think, right? Works really nice with the green cities stuff. Yeah, thanks for the support anyway. Hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to come back and do a part 2 of this as well. We can see where we've kind of terraformed out some space for us to come and work with here. So we'll kind of see what comes of that. However, in today's episode, it is time to work on the European Transport Hub. We've got a couple of ideas in mind today. This is going to be a kind of our key asset, the, which one is this called? So we're going to use the multi-platform end station. That's kind of the key asset. Get some intercity buses in here as well. Build our own tram interchange. Yeah, just kind of work with this area today and see what we can do. Develop a ring road junction. Also going to rework the monorail line to separate away from the ring road at this point, as this kind of is looking a little bit gnarly. So not a huge fan of this. So we'll just bring it to run parallel with the highway, and then bring it across the road and develop some nice little monorail station to be part of the transport hub as well. Lots of fun ideas. So let's get started, shall we? Let's clear out the road network and this station and see what we're working with. So let's start drawing in our kind of initial frame here as to what's going to happen. And we'll come out by 10 in these first kind of increments and see what happens. And then maybe another 10 up here. And then we'll place in that large transport hub. And that's going to centralize nicely. Yeah, okay, gives us some kind of grand entrance vibes, lots of decoration opportunities to get involved with here today, of course. And maybe let's have a look at some underground metro stuff as well. So there is a line already within the station, so this would be a good point to turn this into a ring metro that will follow the monorail and kind of alternate the stops. And then also have one that runs kind of internally within the city as well. Very similar to what we've done in this part of the downtime, right? In the American side of things, where we have like the ring metro complementing the internal ring. Kind of the idea, right? We'll kind of see what happens with that. See what we can do with it. We kind of line with this road right here, and then I think we'll grab ourselves maybe a small industrial road and allow ourselves some kind of maintenance yard detailing to come up alongside the rail yard here as we come into the city. I think we can all get on board with that. And let's have a look at bringing in all these train lines and seeing how we're going to get them to flow out of the city. So we're going to do a little bit of terraforming today in order to get them to kind of fit the way we want. So we've got 6 lines that we can play with today. So we'll maybe send 2 off in this direction, maybe 4 off in this one. Palaven's train network isn't massively extensive. It's not like it was in Biguzi's. We've kind of relied on a lot of other methods of public transport in this city. But we'll kind of see what we can do, okay? Let's terraform ourselves out a little ditch. And then we'll just start leveling out a nice wide area for us to play with. Of course, we'll delete this highway as well, and let's clear out a little bit of this forest just so we've kind of see what we're going to do here today. Okay, let's clear out the roads, get some nice bridge action as we come into this side of the city too. This is going to give us a nice aesthetic as we come out of the city here. And let's start lining up these train lines. So we'll come, have one flowing here. Okay, and then maybe one again next door. We'll feed these into the American downtown. It's making sure that the random car. The rail lines are more than clear in there. The ring road highways there. That's going to be okay. Then we'll come into our soften tool, and then just take a little bit of the harshness out of that slope that I've just dug out. Okay, and start bringing these up. Let's bring them out a touch further. Grab our freeform tool. And then we'll just get some nice pleasing curves as we come into these parts of town, okay? And I guess what we'll do here is bring this one out too. Bring it in. And then we'll feed it into the line there. Okay, so already we're kind of getting that grander transport infrastructure developing. There's a little bit of janky terraforming going on here, but I think once it's detailed we'll be okay. And then likewise the same thing over here. So let's grab our level terrain tool, make sure that we're set to this height here. And then we'll start digging out a cavity for the lines to come and hook in with Imperators interchange over here. So let's go for probably about there. I think that'll be okay. Let's take away a little bit of our infrastructure. Dig ourselves out a little cavity for our rails to flow through, exactly like we've just done. And then again, using our tree brush, we'll just cut out some of the trees so we can see what we're doing. We'll just come back in and detail it all up towards the end of the episode as well. And then again, let's start drawing in, say, terraform out a touch more land over this side. There we go. Of course, it'll look quite ugly for the time being. Just why we get everything kind of set up, but lots of overgrowth and rock detailing to help blend all this in. Exactly like we did. Let's give ourselves a touch more breathing room. And then soften out the slope. Bring these guys up. Then kind of is similar to what we've done here, right? So let's bring all these guys up to this road guideline. Okay, so we'll have these guys separating off in two directions. Let's continue our terraforming work here as well. Okay, soften out a little bit. And we'll run with our kind of straight pieces first, so we know that we're going to get those nice, long, clear runs. Bring it down to the ditch, that's the freeform. And then we can nicely curve into Imperators interchange, which is going to allow us to accept intercity trains into the downtown now, which is something we didn't have very late on in the American downtown. The transport hub was built fairly late on, so hopefully this will be a little easier for people to get in and out of this part of the city a lot sooner than it was in the Pittsburgh inspiration area. Okay, soften out those slopes again now so we can bring the train lines out, back onto all our snapping, and then we'll just bring these off in two separate lines. And then we'll probably save one of these lines to hook into maybe some of the outer line suburbia stuff that we'll build over here at some point. And then likewise we'll feed one of them into the American downtown. And I believe we've also got a line coming from the mining town as well, right? Yes, we do. Okay. So we'll bring this one into the American downtown as well. Because we do have the switch point over here. So this is where a lot of the people are arriving into Palaven, right? Going from this area. That's going to be quite nice. Lots of people using this Park Life cheese already. Very nice indeed. So they'll be able to get into this side of the downtown too. It's going to give us an external rail connection, which will be good. Okay, but kind of from the bird's eye view, we're not looking too bad. Okay, so finish up the terraforming, connected in our highway bridges. And again, lots of nice opportunities to decorate around here with overgrowth and rocks and stuff. And lots of fence opportunities too, with probably the oil fence up against these rail lines. And we'll build some kind of rail maintenance depot, something to just kind of border up this main entrance right as we look into this kind of grander transport area. Lots of vibes to be had today, I think. So with the European downtown, there's something I'm quite keen to try. So with the liberal arts college assets, I think rather than building a third university area in the city, we're going to make the entire European area a university area and then use these assets across the city as just kind of general European assets, whilst also fulfilling some of this university demand at the top. And I think it's going to work out quite nicely. I hope anyway. We'll just kind of see, you know, the liberal arts assets, super European looking. It's definitely the red tiles. It's definitely got like a, there's like a Rome vibe about it, right? Very nice. So I think we're going to use a couple of the more important liberal arts college assets in the transport hub today as well. Some of the ones towards the end. So let's paint out our university area just so we can place them in. We'll of course tidy up the district once we know kind of what size we're going to be running with. You know, if we were to use maybe like a study hall in the transport hub, it just has that European vibe by it, doesn't it? Saves us using a lot of the European residential, which we will use today, of course. We'll also use some of the modern city centre stuff today too. We can kind of get the idea, right? And even with like the School of Education, this one might be a little too big. Maybe let's have a look at the School of Environmental Studies if we wanted to kind of form some really important looking plaza out the front of the train station here. You can kind of get the impression, right? This is what I want to generate. This is a really nice looking asset. And it also gives us the opportunity, because if you remember, we relocated the School of Engineering into the American Transport Hub over here. See how we kind of use this one? So this is the university asset. We brought it into the Transport Hub. So a very kind of similar vibe, right? That's what we want to generate here today. So we'll see anyway. We'll kind of see how this idea comes together. Okay, so as we are nearby to some large important transport hub, I think it's going to be sensible that we introduce some car parks here, right? So I'm going to bring a road. Here we come out by about that much. I think that'll be okay. Okay. And then I'm going to go for the different sized car parks here today. So let's have a look. I'm going to go for the ones that are 3x2, I think they are. We're going to save ourselves 4 tiles in between, okay? And then we're going to paint ourselves out a regular district. Again, I'll cover this for those that don't know how to do it. Bring ourselves out a normal district. Give it the organic and local produce specialization from the Green Cities DLC. And then we're going to give 3x2 zonings like this in an alternating pattern, okay? And once you have this pattern repeated and they start to fill in, you can then come in and fill in the remaining spaces, and a car park asset will have a chance of generating within this zoning size and this specialization, which will eventually give us something that looks a little bit like this, which I think is a nice little change of pace from the usual ones that we go for. You can kind of see how the pattern is different from the one we use in front of the zoo. These are the 2x2 ones. I think we'll go for the ones with shelters just for a little bit of a change, right? I think that's going to be quite nice. Going to work nicely with the transport hub as well. Okay, you can of course repeat that pattern as many times as you like, but I think that'd be alright for what we're looking for in the meantime, right? Very nice. Okay, let's bring our arterial roads back into the area now, and we'll come back onto the road guideline for this so we can align with these car park roads. Let's have a mooch through the monorail line, because this looks hideous, and we won't run the monorail as part of the ring. Oh, I've destroyed my train lines. There we go, that's fine. Okay, take these away up until that point. Then let's have a look at how we can reintroduce monorail into the transport hub here. So I think we'll snap onto the road guide line of the ring road initially. Okay. We'll start bringing this out in a nice kind of curving pattern here, okay? We had a comment during the the road layout episode that said it looks like monorails kind of look like coat hangers bent around the city, and I can totally get on board with that. They do have that little bit of a vibe about them. You have to be really careful with the angles, and otherwise they can look a little bit messy. So I think kind of the long sweeping curves works a lot better with the monorail if you're maybe having a little bit of difficulty trying to implement them into your city in an aesthetic way. There is just the smallest sweet spot between those rail lines, which is fine. We can afford to have that in there, right? Okay. Then we'll come back to our angle snap. And we'll bring our road down again. Onto everything here but the road guideline. Okay. Bring those guys through. And then we'll grab monorail station with road. Then we'll grab just the regular monorail station, and I guess having it centralized against this arterial which will feed in will be a nice point, okay? Give us some more centralized spice and action, which I think we can all appreciate. I'm going to bring this out, come onto our road guideline snap, freeform the monorail again, and then we'll get a nice curve into there. So already at the front of the city now we're getting lots more kind of transport lasagna developing, which is always appreciated. We've got ring road going over the highway, and then rail under that, and then immediately afterwards we've got monorail kind of coming over these rails now. It looks like it is just about touching, is it? Yeah, a small amount of clipping, but we can live with it, right? It's not the end of the world. And I guess now, with our monorail line, it's going to make sense to bring this back in. We will lose our little sunken area here. But again, we can live with it. We've got other sunken areas elsewhere in the city. And then we'll take away where it just starts to sink down. Grab our freeform tool. Okay, nice smooth curve over the ring. And then the ring monorail will join the transport hub at this point, okay? So we now know that we can take out all this stuff and reform a little bit of our ring road detail at this point, just to help kind of accentuate that the pattern has disappeared a little bit and we're not using that monorail there anymore, which is fine. Okay, so we got trains, metro and monorail in so far. Let's have a look at a couple more of our transport hubs. I think I'm leaning in to running with one of the intercity bus stations. Yeah, so the intercity bus hub, really large, important looking asset. I think what we'll do at this point is we'll start to introduce a little one-way flow system just to help support these intercity buses. We'll bring it behind the monorail station to come out a touch shorter than that. Up to here, that's going to give us some nice decoration opportunities too. Bring this into there, bring this into a one-way. Our intercity buses will be able to flow up this road here and then come in and behind this area as well. So let's drop that transport hub in. Again, the orientation of the asset is just as important as the asset itself. We want to make sure that we're getting some of those nice transport vibes as we keep placing in the important assets here today. Okay, and because the intercity bus station's got such a harsh border around it, I'm just going to bring in a road to box it in without the road guideline. Okay, just takes away a little bit of that harshness from it. Then I want to start developing a tram interchange here as well. And I guess the tram interchange is going to be sensible to run here, right? Okay, have a look at developing that too. Let's kind of figure out how our trams. So we have a tram network in the zoo already, which will continue to flow down this side. And then we'll probably have one that runs over here, and then one down to this point as well. So let's allow room for kind of 4 initial tram interchanges, right? And then we'll kind of see what develops as the rest of the city comes along, okay? So we'll upgrade this arterial to a point into tram network. I guess we can actually separate out here, right? This will be quite a nice aesthetic. We can bring it behind the university building here as well. Okay, let's maybe bring it, shave a touch more off. And then allow ourselves to flow through on the road guideline. Okay. And lots of kind of nice open plaza tram vibes around this area. It's gonna be nice to see, I think, as well. Of course, the cycle network to factor in here too. And then let's just have a little look at how we can converge these tram lines together. So we can bring the line that runs into the tram zoo through here as well. So let's upgrade this road into tram. And then we'll bring it across here as well. But do we want it to come behind? Yeah, I think we will actually. That's going to save us a smaller bit of room on the junction too. Bring that back into regular road and then we'll grab our trams. Okay, feed this one in. And then we'll start to have a look at some kind of tram designs here. So let's come off the road guideline initially. And then let's have a look at how we kind of want these little tram boxes to work. We'll bring this one down. And then we'll stick to kind of measurements of 5, okay? We could get involved with some park life assets in here. We wanted to turn this into a park area, maybe start dropping in some cafes. Maybe a little bit big. Yeah, looks like we'll have to get away with the restrooms, but of course there's zoo stuff as well. Maybe some zoo cafes in here. Yeah, plenty of decoration opportunities, of course. Okay. How are we feeling about this so far? So we just kind of have several of these little tram boxes that appear in certain places, okay? Got a little bit of road that needs upgrading there. Take that one out, very nice. Okay, and then this will also have this one as tram road as well. Actually, no, yeah, they can come down here, that's fine. We don't need to connect it into the tram depot anymore from here. Okay, so let's check the measurement. We came up by 260. And double check it. Yeah, sort of 325 here, isn't it? Okay. Something like that. Okay, so we'll of course turn all the traffic lights off here. This many junctions on an arterial isn't the best idea, but we'll turn the traffic lights off, and because it's only tram boxes, they will cope a little bit easier. Okay, so let's start to have a look at an idea of some kind of elevated skyway to hook all these tram boxes together, right? We're going to use the elevated liberal arts college path, which again has got that kind of red tinge on it. It's going to match nicely with the aesthetic of the actual buildings themselves. Okay. And then I think we're just going to repeat this pattern in the spaces that we have available between each of the tram networks. Okay. Just a little something like that. And then we can also kind of bring it down into the main transport hub as well. Come out from here first of all. Let's kind of double check what length we're coming down here actually. It's a distance of 142, so we'll mimic that pattern this side as well. By 142. And then we'll hook into the skyway there. And then fantastic, it's going to link down this side as well. But this will look really sweet, having some people move around the transport hub using these walkways. Of course, transport hub won't be massively busy as we start out building here today, just because, you know, there's not that much reason for people to visit here today. It may include a stadium just to attract people. And then we can bring it down alongside the monorail as well, okay? How are we looking there right now? Fantastic, very nice indeed. Let's bring the zoo line into the transport hub just so we can see it in action, right? Let's take it into... So I think we won't run with the symmetry stops for this. We're just going to have them each up against the back line. Then let's have a look and some kind of planning as to how the tram network will flow into the rest of the city. So we'll keep the tram line running down this way. We'll keep it going there, and then it can run in that way. Okay. Just so there's trams kind of coming and going, and what we'll do, just for the sake of the episode, is introduce just a really small tram turnaround point. But of course, once we come to actually build this part of the city, we'll expand this out, but just so we can see the trams flowing. And then likewise with this as well, can we clear the bridge here? No, not quite, that's fine though. Let's bring the tram line to a point where we can clear it. Just about there. To continue that design to kind of keep running parallel. And lots of walkability is everything we like in Palaven, right? And we can bring it there. Lots more decoration opportunities as well. Into here and just develop some kind of nice general flowing open parkland. Okay, let's grab a regular vanilla path here. And then we'll upgrade it into the liberal arts one. Do you want decorations? I think we will go with decorations, kind of a similar palette as to what we did in the zoo, right? If the paths are touching tramline, then they will have decorations. Yeah, kind of see the idea here, okay? And then again, just for the sake of the episode, we'll come in with just a really basic tram turnaround box. Okay, so all our tram lines are moving around now. Let's have a look at what kind of assets we can start lining our central transport plaza here using those liberal arts stuff, of course. How about we have a look at the media lab? How is this going to look here? Yeah, I think I like that. Lots of nice glass on it. It's going to integrate nicely with our little skyways as well. Okay, let's have a look what else we've got. Keep scrolling through. There's also the bookstore as well. I really do like the bookstores as kind of arterial road assets. They work really nicely. Okay. I think again, I'm kind of happy with that. Going to back on nicely onto the media lab too. Lots of decoration opportunities as well here, of course. Okay, we've got a nice big chunky space here. Would the School of Economics sit here? Yes, it would. Near perfectly as well. How can you refuse that opportunity? Is it what we want though? Is it going to work in with the vibe? I don't actually think that it does on first impressions. It's got a nice back end onto it. I think we can all appreciate a nice back end, right? But it's it's the front of the asset that I'm not sure if I'm keen on. We'll leave it in for right now, I think. Then how about some of the plazas here, the statues and the fountains that come with this stuff to help decorate out our little central square. Okay, maybe let's bring a pathway through. Alright. Then we can maybe flip this orientation, of course, because we're in the campus area, we can actually place this on the pathways, which is going to help us decorate a little bit. Then how about one of the other ones? What about the academic statue number 2? What does this one look like? Okay, yeah, so they've both got some like hedge vibes going on. There's a touch of kind of naked model spice within that one, and this is a shape. I'm not sure, it's like a little statue, I guess, isn't it? It's kind of the way to describe it. Okay, and maybe a part life asset just to help mirror the monorail, the metro station. We'll place that there. Have a little mooch through our unique buildings. I'm pretty sure we've used up most of the plazas already. Although there is the official park, which does centralise. Can we refuse that opportunity? The official park is very, very nice. It's going to line up perfectly with the metro. We can get bordering path networks around it as well. Let's just have a little sample spice, shall we? And see what we think of that. It's going to draw more people to the transport hub, of course, because it is a unique building. And I think we can get away with it. Kind of see, I want to make sure that the opening, like kind of as you walk out of the train station, you're greeted with a very kind of grand plaza. Is the idea that I'm trying to run with today. Continue to bring our pathways down here as well. Okay. And then maybe let's have a look at some prop line tool action. To bring in some repeated bush patterns to help fill these areas out a little bit. Okay, just like so. Okay. How are we feeling? I think I'm on board with it, actually. I think I am on board with it. I think it's okay. Alright, got our little trams mooch about here now as well. People already starting to pick up the skywalks, which is fantastic news. Okay guys, I'm going to hook up the train stations into the American lines over here, just so we can start to see some trains coming and going from the transport hub. And then we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we now have trains coming and going from the train station, which is nice. I've also hooked in the metro stations as well. Thrown in a stop over here, which will now begin to serve the ring metro, which is also getting a little bit of use. And chucked in a station over by the zoo as well. So people are already picking these up as potential ways around the city. Saves them driving, right? Really similar concept to what we run in the Pittsburgh inspired area, with lots of ring transport all helping complement and support each other. And of course the trams won't actually be that busy yet, just because they, don't really go anywhere elsewhere in the city. We're starting to see that really busy, vibrant public transport vibe coming together already, which is nice. Very nice indeed. Car park's working nicely there too. And I think it's slowly coming together, isn't it? It is slowly coming together. I want to have a little look at expanding our European high density area here. So let's work on this for right now. So I'm thinking maybe we can get the monorail to flow between the houses here. Might not be the most typical European thing to see a monorail flow through some of these old houses like this. But we need to get some population in this area, and I think it'll be a nice little kind of Palaven aesthetic, I think. So we'll fracture the monorail line while we draw in our roads. Come off the road guide line for this. Come out by 750. Cross. Then we'll reintroduce the monorail line into the area. We'll kind of see how this works out. This might not be a final fixture, but I think we can all get involved with a little bit of testing together. Let's come off all the snapping here while we align this manually. There we go. And we can connect in. and keep everyone happy. Let's expand a little European district into this area. Okay. Very nice. And then let's get some happy high density in as well, okay? Where we've got fractured zoning, but you know, it's going to help generate that European vibe that we're all keen on. And we'll just tidy up a little bit to the zoning here and there. Maybe have a pathway run through the middle as well here. And then also down into this point too. And then I guess through here as well, right? Have a look at those pathways. Let's go for decoration, should be okay. We'll start in the grid and then we'll just come to our angle. Okay. Bring that down there. Again, we'll come into the grid here. It should be nice and easy. Off the grid as we come into it, and then we'll snap to our angle. Like so. Okay, then let's see what's going to be generated in here. Do we want to maybe link a pathway through on each of these grids as well? I think we will. Okay. And again, no, you wouldn't see this. This is not kind of taking inspiration from anywhere. It's really just to help accommodate our monorail line. I think it looks alright, okay? I don't know, maybe any Europeans that have a monorail line in their city can attest to this, but you know, kind of these old buildings wouldn't be demolished, I imagine, to make way for a modern monorail line like this, but I think we can appreciate the Cities Skylines aesthetic, right? Let's get some nice little European streets developing here now as well, with all these little like cafe shops, and all very nice, isn't it? Starting to appreciate a little bit more. What's these little winding European streets? Little pathways linking people through as well. Yeah, I think I can get on board with it. I'm not totally adverse to it. Oh, my word. Bring some water for these guys too. Then I do want to create a ring road junction here, so I think that's what we'll work on next. Let's bring that road back through that was hooking in the metro station. We'll hook that in there as well. There's no need for this one anymore. Maybe develop some little parkland here, some bordering parkland. I need to delete these cemeteries as well. I want to include maybe some like transport hub maintenance buildings here, so stuff like the taxi depot and some of the biofuel bus stuff. So I think what we'll do to help generate this vibe is we'll upgrade this road here into tram with road. Then we'll grab ourselves an industrial road, okay? And then we'll come off everything but the angle. And then we'll bring in some road against road action, okay? And then let's see if we can accommodate biofuel bus depot. Yes, we can. And we also have the taxi depot down here that we placed on Sundays Live, so let's relocate this as well. Again, we can have these in here, right? So they're still related to the transport hub. That's going to be okay. We'll also bring a bus line down into that Green Cities area that we made at the weekend. So let's grab a bus line here, and then we'll feed it through the residential. So maybe let's have a bus that's going to stop here. It's going to make everyone happy, of course. Let's make it a little bit sooner. Let's plop it right here. And again, outside the metro. So again, 3 methods of public transport converging here now. Then we'll bring it down the arterial. And then I guess we'll feed it into this little Green Cities front up here. Okay. We'll stop it outside the schools. And then mirror it down here. And then it can mirror its stops as it heads back through the city. And then back into the bus hub. And of course, as we come to build other builds in this part of the European area, we'll of course add bus lines in. But we'll get a couple of ones here. Here we go for a nice traditional red European bus, right? Definitely kind of taking the idea from London for that. But we'll kind of see how this looks. Lots of public transport beginning to develop now. Yes, please. Really looking forward to seeing all these trams in action. This will be nice once it's all ready. So at the start of the episode, I initially had this planned out for some kind of industrial rail maintenance area, which I don't think we're going to do. We'll maybe just plop something down like this here, because I want to use some of the modern city content creator stuff today to help design a nice fancy entrance up alongside where people are entering into the European area. So let's have a look at what we can do with this. Bring a road down first of all. And we'll come to everything but road guideline here. Yeah, and then I'm after that back-to-back 4x4 zonings. Okay. Junction's a little close there, but there's not going to be that much here. The road is a little bit uneven. Let's make sure we terraform first of all. And then we'll give it the modern city content creator stuff. Modern city center. Now I want to be very specific with what assets are going to generate in here, okay? So it might take a little bit of plot the globals to get the look that we want. It should also help these skyways become a little bit more active over here now as well. Also brought another one up here off camera as well to expand into the rest of the city once we get there. Yeah, we'll just while those develop, let's have a little pan around, shall we? Yeah, okay, let's see what's coming in. Yeah, so we're getting a couple of mismatches here. A couple of trains coming on different platforms. We will, of course, these lines currently feed into the line that runs past Imperial's interchange, past the nuclear plant. We will add more passenger lines into this area once we come to work on this station, so don't be concerned if these kind of two external lines on this side are a little bit quiet for the rest of the episode, because they're not really hooked into where we want them to be hooked in yet. But it's nice that we've got that preparation, right? We've got two stations getting a little bit of use here now as well. Or two platforms, rather. But of course, once Palaven grows into what it will eventually finish as, all of those platforms will be getting some kind of use, right? Very nice indeed. Some intercity buses coming and going there as well. Very cool. Okay. So yeah, this isn't what I want. This isn't the vibe that I'm after at all. I'm going to carry on playing with this and refining the ideas and being very selective with what assets come in and working with the zoning. See, we're getting a building that's not a 4x4 here, so we need to keep manipulating the road network and then just kind of see what we can come up with, right? So I'll be right back once I've kind of got this look in the way that I want it to. Okay, so I think I'm happy with what I've got here now. Constantly changing the zoning sizes and working with different kind of angled buildings. We can get kind of a really nice texture within this long block of commercial, right? It's going to sit really nicely against our train station, which I'm happy with. And kind of the nighttime drive as we're coming into the city here, right, is I think something we can get on board with. Nice big commercial front, and when we come to work on this side of it as well, we'll probably mimic the pattern just so we get that symmetry with the city entrance. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. And of course, we've got lots of nice opportunity to do. And a bordering parkland and everything else that we like here, right? Let's have a look at some pathways now to help complement this area. Bring them down from the zebra crossings here. And I guess, do we want to maybe... Yeah, we could bring this one down. I guess there's no need to have two elevated skywalks here, right? And then we could bring it in. The symmetry is nice there. Which way do we want to do? Cities Skylines problems, everyone. Okay. Bring it along here. I guess we're almost getting too spicy here now, right? With the 6 lane with trees and the path with trees, it's just getting a little too tree. So let's trim some of those designs off, and there's of course plenty of opportunities to come in here later on and do some nice little boxed in tree patterns to help complement this very fancy commercial. Okay. Even someone picking up here now as well. She's gonna jump in a little scooter and drive on the highway. It seems quite dangerous to use one of those on the motorway, but at least she's using it to get out of the city, right? Okay. Really happy with that, and I've not affected our design here too much either, I don't think. I'm relatively happy with that. And our new little residential blocks here are developing quite nicely as well, I think, too. Fantastic. Very nice indeed. So kind of the last thing we want to work on today before we jump into some kind of detail and time lapse is going to be a little ring road entry and exit point, okay? So let's maybe run with industrial road out of here. We'll hook in. It's not the most amazing junction in the world, but once it's detailed, I think it'll fit in a little nicer. Okay, and then I also want to grab a little two-way and feed the ring straight into the highway, so let's do that while we're here as well, okay? And where's going to be a good place to come out here? Probably at the base where the bridge starts to elevate, right? Okay. Let's get our road guidelines hooked up first so we kind of know where we want to run to. Very nice. Give ourselves a little curve action actually. Just come off the road guideline. And we'll come out by 5. Then curve by 5. Let's prepare the landscape here a little bit too. Go onto our softened terrain and take that harshness out of the ramp. Okay. Then we can hook in the ring, hook the ring into the highway there, and again we'll do the same over that side once we come to do it as well. Okay, well that's kind of, I think, the bulk of the build done, guys. There's lots of detailing to do. We need to bring kind of the bordering interchange forest back into its place where we cleared it out at the start. Reintroduce some of our ring road patterns in here as well. Decorate all up this space, and we'll include some nice little parkland here as well, just to help add something of a border between the residentials and the ring road. Some more park detail in here as well. Possibly some commercial assets also. Yeah, lots of detail to do where the ring joins here. All these spaces between tram lines, of course, and we'll sweep through and drop in some more of the academic arts stuff, assets in here. Yeah, lots of people picking up. How's the intercity bus station doing now with this line? Yeah, there's a few people picking up this red line back into the Green Cities district now as well. But it's not a huge population area, so a bus is more than able to serve this area. See them getting some use now too. We'll also bring some taxi stands into the transport hub as well, just to help decorate them out. Maybe some more repeated patterns up alongside where our little tram stops are too. Otherwise, guys, let's go and detail up, and I'll speak to you all in a minute. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the episode, a like below is always appreciated. Even if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. And if you've really enjoyed it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Really unique style of transport hub here today, lots of different styles, and I'm really happy with the integration of the Liberal Arts College. I think that's a really nice way of using up the campus assets rather than just making another dedicated university campus area. We can use these assets to help flesh out our European side of the city as we continue to expand in subsequent episodes. Of course, the trams are a little quieter because the ends of their lines don't really go anywhere just yet, but of course once this part of the city expands, those tram lines will become busier, but it's nice to see them in action right now as well. Lots of open parkland here to border up between the residential and the kind of louder transport assets, and there was an absolute ton of detailing in this episode. You guys wouldn't have seen it all, so make sure you hang around for the rest of the outro tags to check out what you've missed. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.